Good morning, Internet. Hi, hello. My name is EJ, and I am here with a narrated art time-lapse video for us to take a look at and review and yeah, hopefully learn a thing or two from. So yeah. Anyways, to start things off, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a shout out to the photo reference, to the photographer of the photo reference that I used for this particular piece. I used a photograph by Ekaterina Kompaniets. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I believe she might be Eastern European. But yeah, I found a photo of her on Shutterstock. I went ahead and paid it, right? Because Shutterstock is a paid photo site. It's not one of the free ones like pixels.com and whatnot. But the photo that I found of hers was really cool. It was really amazing. I wanted to reference it and whatnot, and so yeah, I use it as a photo reference for this particular piece, and I just basically wanted to give credit to her. Now, if you were to look at the original photo versus what I painted, it's vastly different. Pretty much the only thing that's the same from the original photo is the sky background. Ekaterina's original photo does not have a robot. It has a Viking girl in front of the camera, who is posing, looking back at the birds that was flying behind her. So that was the original photo. Mine is obviously a robot looking back at the birds flying behind him or her, or him. Really, I really had a mind to call him because that's what my design was. But yeah, I just wanted to do a shout out to Ekaterina. It was a really cool photo. Perfect timing on that photo is all I could say, man. I mean, taking that shot right at that exact time those birds flew by, that was amazing. So that's really good timing, and I thought it was really cool. So yeah. But anyways, do pardon me because I am slightly sick, so I'm kind of doing the sniffles here and there. So just bear with me while I try to go over and talk about some aspects of this video that I absolutely love and absolutely do not like. Because I try to be fair in my videos and in my artwork, and kind of, you know, critically look at my art processes and see what's working and what's not. So yeah, I guess background real quick on how this particular piece got started. This piece was my submission for a particular contest in the Krita artist forum. For this particular contest, the prompt was marvelous metal, and I have a tendency to paint robots, right? Like, I love painting robots. So of course it's a perfect time for me to paint robots. Because, well, you know, robots are technically kind of made up of metal and whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about that and what I think about the metal in this particular piece. But before I talk about any of that, let me talk real quick about the process. Initially, the video started out with a quick sketch, and then I layered over that quick sketch with another, a little bit more detailed, but still kind of a quick sketch to kind of just hammer out the details. And then as soon as I have those down, I started doing my clean line sketch, which is what we're taking a look at right now. This is one of the few pieces where I really took the time, spent some time doing some really good line work. I love good line work. I've been getting back into it for the past 2 or 3 years after spending quite a lot of time speed painting. And I just love it. I think it's very beneficial to my workflows. It has lengthened my work time, which I kind of don't like. I wish a lot of my working time is a lot shorter, obviously. But the results are stunning. The results of my clean line sketch together with my speed work with painting has I mean, the results of it has just been really phenomenal. So I love it. I try to employ it as much as I can. I mean, every now and then I will still do just a good old-fashioned speed paint, you know, barely a sketch, barely anything, just straight up quick sketch, then paint, then straight to detailing without going to a detour with a line sketch. So yeah, I do that every now and then, but lately I've been depending on a lot of good, clean, nice sketch, which is what this is. This is really cool. I really love how I sketched this guy out, this robot. It's pretty cool. That's all I gotta say. So yeah, I guess now would be a great time to mention about some of the design elements on this robot. I absolutely love Baroque. I think I mentioned it so many times in my channel. I don't do just straight up robot design. I do, you know, just straight up do like a hard surface type design robot, but every now and then I'll throw in some Baroque elements. Baroque elements are basically all those floral elements that are kind of thrown in on his metal outfit. Some of them in his chest, some in his arms. We're looking at one right now. Baroque elements were very, very popular with 18th century, I think 17th or 18th century architecture. It's very, very garish, very, very in your face. But I love the styling of it. It's a lot of work to create it, I would imagine. Because if I was to do Baroque elements, say on a furniture, man, and that's not just straight up cutting up wood to come up with a cabinet, for example. There's gonna have to be a lot of sculpture involved trying to get all that Baroque elements in. So I would imagine Baroque elements takes a lot of time to do. But of course the result is really, really good. So yeah. But anyways, after the clean line sketch, I threw in some quick color. I was in my pink phase at this point. I go through phases with color. Pink and green happens to be a lot of my favorite colors. I keep going back and forth between those two. Lately though, green has been kind of like going away. Like I haven't seen green motif in a long time now. But pink, I could keep coming back. I keep coming back to it every now and then. Right now I'm in my blue and orange phase, so I'm kind of digging blue and orange, so I've been like exploring that. But in this particular time last year, this was pretty much done pretty much last year, right? I was clearly on my pink phase, as you can see. I'm laying down some pink colors. I'm using David Revoy's random mech brush. I set like a hue variation on it just to give me a few variation on the colors I'm laying down, and then I am pretty much just laying down just some random colors. After I laid down some random colors, I started working on value. As you can see, I'm making sure that the darks are darks, and then of course keeping my lights. And then after I have all of this information down, the values, the random light, the random colors, random light, and then of course my dark values, I would merge all of these layers into one, and I would start smudging them in, which is what we're taking a look at right now. I'm smudging them all around. After I smudge them, I would start my detailing phase. This is the part where I would start working on hashing out the details of my piece. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna let the video run for a while, so you guys can just sit and watch and just enjoy the music for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back a little later on with my review. So yeah. So right now I'm basically doing my detailing phase, which for my detailing phase I basically do this repeating process, which is I basically delineate my edges, which means I make my edges sharper, clearer. I also accentuate the shadows, basically making my shadows darker, adding a little bit more of a value oomph or whatnot, just increasing the value range of the piece. And then of course I'm adding highlights. So it's a pretty rinse and repeat process. It's a fun process. Detailing is my absolute favorite part of the painting process, because I could just mellow out and just sink into the process mindlessly and just keep going. So I absolutely love this part. I think this part is absolutely fun. So yeah, and whatnot. But yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. So yeah, but let's go over my successes, my failures, and my own self-critique of this piece. So first off, I really love the background. Absolutely love what I did with the background. It is much different than what the original photo is. I kind of went off tangent, obviously. The original photo is I think it was in color. I can't remember if it was just a black and white photo or if it was in color, but I'm pretty sure that it was a rainy day, so the whole sky was basically grayscale, right? And the birds that was flying was kind of dark colored, right? So the contrast between the light and dark helped distinguish the birds. Basically, like, you could easily distinguish the birds on the photo, because the sky was predominantly grayish light while the birds were kind of dark. So yeah, but in my piece there's color. Obviously it wasn't grayscale. I loved the color, but I did have trouble and issues with the birds, trying to make them as contrasty as like the original photo, right? I don't think I did a great enough job creating that contrast. I basically had to depend on hue contrast rather than value contrast like it was in the original photo. You could see the birds, but definitely not as clear as like it was in the original photo. But the way I did the clouds on here though is amazing. Those pink and yellow clouds on that sky, man, I think that's super gorgeous. I thought I did a really good job. So yeah, in terms of details of the robot, absolutely love it. I think it's awesome. It's really cool. I've been on this design motif lately. I think I've been doing a really good job with it. However, on fulfilling the prompt of marvelous metal, I completely failed. So I guess to talk real quick about metal properties, right? Metal properties, or metal material, has this reflection properties that are different from any other object, right? And it has a unique look, now the tricky part though with metal, right? Like, you could paint an object and make it look metal, or you can paint it like other regular objects, right? Now the really crazy part and the tricky part though is illustrating painted metal. And what I mean about that is a great example of that would be like a car, for example, right? Car is made of metal, right? So it has that metal properties, but the paint on top of that car metal actually acts like a plastic. It doesn't behave like a metal. So all of a sudden when you're painting a car, you kind of have to approach it differently from if you were to approach it like painting a metal, Now, since I wanted my robot to have color, I knew that it was going to have basically painted metal properties, which is basically going to make it behave like plastic instead of metal. So I basically have to end up depending on the Baroque elements, because the Baroque elements, I kind of wanted it to be gold metal, right? And so I basically had to depend on the Baroque elements to pull off the marvelous metal look. However, I don't think I did a great job with it. I don't think my gold Baroque elements look gold enough, unfortunately. So overall, I would have to say I kind of failed the theme. I mean, the whole robot is painted metal. His whole outfit, his whole armor is painted metal. So I knew that I couldn't really paint that as metal, right? I would have to paint it like as if it was plastic, since it's a painted metal. But the gold elements, I was really hoping for it to come out looking like real gold. And yeah, those Baroque elements, it just was not gold enough. So yeah, I have to say that I failed the prompt. I don't think I did a really good job creating a marvelous metal look. So, but I did, however, come up with a painting that I absolutely love. Like, you know, I failed the prompt, sure, yeah, but I love this piece. I just love the composition. I just love the colors that I added to it. I just thought that this was a really, really cool piece, and I count this as a success on my portfolio just because I just love it. so yeah. But anyways, this piece is pretty close to being finished, so whatnot. I just need to wrap up my commentary on it. So yeah. But anyways, I hope you guys learned a thing or two from this piece for sure. Anyways, thank you for watching. Good night.